In 1914, the world stood on the edge of an invisible cliff. Nations were calm, streets were peaceful, and life moved forward without fear. But beneath that quiet surface, a fuse had already been lit. A fuse no one saw, a fuse no one believed in. And when it finally reached its spark, the world would face a storm unlike anything in human history. This is the story of how a single moment shattered an era and created a war that reshaped humanity. Chapter 1: The Silence Before the Fire. Europe, in the early 20th century, was a continent divided by pride, alliances, and ambition. Every empire wanted power, every kingdom wanted security, and every leader believed they were one step away from being outmaneuvered. Armies grew larger, weapons grew deadlier, and diplomats spoke of peace, even as they prepared for the opposite. It was a fragile peace, held together by fear, promises, and hope. And then, June 1914 arrived. Chapter 2: The Shot That Shook the World, 2 hours to 3 hours. Sarajevo, a quiet morning, a royal motorcade. A young man hidden among the crowd. One pull of a trigger, one bullet, one decision that no one could take back. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand did not start the war by itself, but it collapsed the balance that had kept Europe from falling apart. And within hours, the silence was replaced by panic. Nations blamed each other. Old alliances activated, and the chain reaction began. Chapter 3: Fear Takes Control. 3 hours to 4:30. In back rooms and war councils, leaders faced a terrifying question. If we wait, will they strike first? Messages were delayed. Plans were misread. Orders were confused. And small misunderstandings turned into irreversible decisions. One country mobilized. Another reacted. A third panicked. And a fourth waited silently, sharpening its weapons. Europe became a massive trap. And once the armies began to mar, strategy away, yet every advance was met with another countermeasure. What was supposed to be a quick conflict became a struggle of willpower, a test of which nation could endure longer, rebuild faster, and hold its ground. The world was locked in a stalemate, and no one knew how to break it. Chapter 6: The War Turns. By 1917, the world was exhausted. Empires weakened, economies strained, and societies questioned the meaning of the conflict itself. New nations entered the fight. Revolutions erupted, and global momentum shifted. What once seemed unstoppable finally began to crack. In 1918, the final year of the war, offensives swept across Europe. Armies pushed forward with everything they had left. And slowly, the walls of the old world began to collapse. Chapter 7: The Ending That Birthed a New Beginning. When the guns finally fell silent in November 1918, the world looked at the ruins and asked, was all this inevitable? Could this war have been stopped? Borders had shifted, empires had crumbled, and millions had seen the true cost of fear, rivalry, and miscalculation. World War I did not just end a conflict, it ended an era. And from its ashes, a new world was born, one that would shape the 20th century. The First World War remains a reminder. The smallest spark can ignite the greatest storm. History asks us not to forget and not to repeat its mistakes. For more documentaries like this, subscribe and share.